So this is an interactive workshop. We're going to be discussing the most common arguments against veganism. If you're doing this for the first time, the way it works, I will be asking questions, and the questions are the common arguments against veganism that non-vegans usually bring up, and we will work on the response for each question, and then we'll move on to the next question. So I'll ask the question, and then everyone will have an opportunity to respond in a comment, and I'll read as many comments as I can, and then we'll move on to the next argument. All right, someone just said, I mean, we can still be vegetarian and not harm animals, and I just want to quickly respond to that before I continue with the responses. No, you cannot be vegetarian and not harm animals, because vegetarians still are supporting animal cruelty by consuming dairy, eggs, and if you do wear animal skin, if you still buy products that are tested on animals, you are still supporting animal exploitation. So if you choose to stop harming animals, the only way to do that is by being vegan. Vegetarianism doesn't do anything for the victims. So the first argument is, if you're outreaching someone and they say, yeah, I don't like that animals are being treated the way they are, but I like the taste of meat, or I love cheese, I can't give up cheese. So they bring up taste or pleasure. How do you respond to that? If somebody says, I do feel bad for the animals, but I do like the taste of meat, it's important to bring up the animals and the fact that these animals are being exploited, tortured, raped, and murdered for that person to sit down to a meal for 5-10 minutes, rather than bringing up plant-based options. I know that we can say that, but that should come after the fact that we talk about the actual injustice. So it's always important to bring up why we should be vegan rather than how we're going to do it, because when you decide to do something, you're going to figure out how to do it. So the how comes after the why. If someone says, I like the taste of meat or cheese or whatever it might be, the best response is what most of you said, which is, does your palate pleasure justify thousands of animals or millions of animals being exploited, raped, and killed? It's good to bring that up first. And a good example is, just because you take pleasure from something doesn't make it moral or ethical. Just like if someone takes pleasure from, say, having sex with people, if they decide to go and rape just because they take pleasure out of it, does that make it okay for the victims? So that's a great example to use. And then after that, you can bring up the fact that I didn't go vegan because I didn't like the taste of chicken. And I personally don't know any vegan that went vegan because they didn't like the taste of these products. Although we know that these products are being processed and spiced and they're cooked in a certain way, otherwise you wouldn't like the taste. Nobody would. But I don't know anyone who has done that. I'm sure there are some people. I personally don't know any. And the point of going vegan is you get to the point where you decide to take a stance against an injustice, and that's the only reason why you go vegan. So it's got nothing to do with whether you love vegan food or you want to be healthy or you didn't like the taste of animal products. It's only got to do with animal exploitation and the fact that you decide to stop supporting it. So once you decide that you want to be vegan, then you've got so many options in terms of, first of all, vegan food means anything that comes from a plant, so whole foods, plant-based. There are so many plants that you can choose from. And then in terms of vegan products, again, there are heaps of products now in terms of meat, vegan meat options, vegan cheese, vegan ice cream, all of that stuff. So people can figure that out, like I said. But the most important thing is that somebody understands that their pleasure doesn't justify innocent individuals being tortured and murdered. And that's it. All right, next question that I saw earlier was, when someone says plants have feelings or plants are alive too, plants feel pain too. How do you respond to that one? Which is very common. It's probably the number one argument. It's definitely the number one argument we've been getting on our posts from non-vegans. I would say, do you think that cutting a carrot is the same as stabbing an animal in the throat? Plants don't have a brain, so they can't feel pain. They don't have a central nervous system. How would you like it if someone compared your life to a carrot? I like that. If plants feel pain, how come the police are not called when someone's mowing the lawn? I love that. I love these ones because we all know that although this is probably the most common argument against veganism, this is also the most ridiculous argument. Do we all agree? Because we all get we'll start rolling our eyes when we hear this. It's just so stupid to bring this up. And we all know that the person is not being honest when they bring it up. They're just bringing it up for the sake of saying something against veganism. Deep down, nobody believes that that's true, right? So because this is ridiculous, I think it's really good to approach this argument a bit different. So using these responses, like how come nobody calls the police or firefighters don't go in to get the plants, I love these because I feel like they make sense, because the question or the argument is so dumb that you can use something funny. It's kind of, comical to say this instead of going into the whole thing about, oh yeah, there are more plants being fed to livestock, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I like to say something like this at the start, because usually when you say something funny, the person is like, yeah, I don't actually believe it. This is also something I've said in the past. If I was outreaching someone and I'm like, so while you're walking on the street, do you try to avoid stepping on grass? Because you would do that if there was a dog standing there, or a cat, or any animal. Okay, I'm gonna go through the comments. My friends don't understand why I'm vegan, and it's frustrating listening to their argument and silly questions all the time. Yeah, I feel you. It's not easy. If they don't understand why you're vegan, maybe can you explain to them, or have you already tried explaining to them why you're vegan and what veganism means? You can maybe suggest that you all watch a documentary together, you discuss it. If they really don't understand it, maybe you haven't clarified that for them yet. So do that, but if you have, we can all relate to that. Anyone who has non-vegan friends and family members, they know the frustration, but we're doing this for the animals. We're not doing this to be liked. We're not doing this to be comfortable. Of course, we're animal rights activists. We didn't expect this to be comfortable. It just comes with it. What advice do you have for those transitioning to a vegan lifestyle? I have only one advice, and that is get your shit together and go vegan right now. There is no transition needed. You don't need to take baby steps. And the animals are suffering while you're taking your little baby steps. That is not justified. So if you have decided that veganism is the right thing to do, why are you doing it slowly? What's stopping you from just going vegan right now? What do I think about Burger King? I think that it's great that they do have a vegan option. And I think we should every now and then support them to show them that there is a demand for it, so that they don't remove it from the menu. And also to encourage them to add more options to the menu. Some people don't want to eat it because it might be cooked on the same grill, or they might have had a bad experience with it. I can understand that, but I personally do support non-vegan businesses that have vegan options, because I think we do have a responsibility to continue with the demand so that they provide more. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. We've got another live next week. Thank you so much everyone for joining me for this one. I love doing these interactive workshops, and I hope that you found it helpful. Much love and take care.